Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the RCI Monday Championship. It's the Porsche Cup, it's Season 3, and it is Round 2 of the final Monday Championship of the year. Welcome back after an incredibly exciting and tense Nürburgring race towards the end. We are back. We're here at Imola for the second round of the championship, and it is hot. 27 degrees ambient, 34 degrees out on the track. And it is looking interesting towards the end of practice. Good evening, my name is Ryan Gill, and alongside me for the rest of the season, it is not Ryan Mawson who joined me for round 1. It is Nate Norbury joining us again on the Monday Championship. Welcome along, Nate. How are you doing this evening?
Yeah, it's good to be back on a Monday Championship. Definitely a good way to kickstart the week after, having 9 hours of work a day. So, yeah, happy to be here. A couple of names I'm remembering from the last time we commentated together, Andy Boardman being one of them. And a couple of new names which I've not commentated on, but I've raced against. And, having been against them, I wouldn't want to be someone in this pack today, Ryan.
No, the pro split here today, very, very competitive, and we have seen some absolutely fantastic racing in the first round of the championship. And it was Wolf Matuszka in the first round of the championship that took the win, and he took pole position as well, so he's got a nice chunk of points to his name. Martin Lawrence, of course, who is not here at the moment, although he should be joining towards the end of practice start qualifying. He unfortunately had a bit of a bodged pit stop and finished a bit further down the order than he would have liked. He had second place pretty much in his drafts, but he had to drop down to 6th, and that of course meant that Andy Boardman and Mikael Sundström rounded out the top 3 for the first race of the season. We'll be hoping that everyone can kind of bring the fire a bit more to Wolf Matuszka in the second round of the season. Wolf doesn't have a lap out yet here in practice, and it doesn't look like he's going to go and set a lap out in practice either, waiting for qualifying. But towards the top of the timings in practice, it is Scott with a 143.116 at the moment, and quite a margin over the likes of Mikael Sundström, who's second at the moment, almost half a second back. And, well, to me, Nate, that kind of shows that I think everyone else here has been practicing full fuel runs for the race rather than qualifying.
It would definitely look that way, and it makes sense, realistically. This is something that I've come to learn myself recently, that it's more beneficial to practice the full fuel runs. You spend more time of the race in the race than you do in qualifying. So while it's fantastic to go fast and, have the car dance around underneath you, it's more beneficial for your overall result to practice how the car feels, how it handles, where you need to stop on full fuel, and really dial yourself into the track to give yourself the best hope of maybe snatching a surprise victory.
Well, it is the likes of Ethan Scott at the top of the timing tables. Mikael Sundström obviously just about half a second back as well. And looking throughout the top 10, it is all the way down to 10th place to Victor Nordquist, actually, to make up an entire second. But given the fact that we believe Ethan Scott out there on qualifying fuel, that it will be much, much closer come qualifying. This is Jordan Daley, just come into the pit lane as well. Jordan Daley didn't have the best of races out at the Nürburgring. Looking at the position, he finished down in 14th, which is a bit lower than I would have expected from Jordan Daley, considering how much he's impressed as of late, especially in the Lambo Super Cup, where he was doing very, very well towards the end of the championship. But of course, the Cup car is a very, very different challenge compared to a Lamborghini GT3. So we'll have to see if Jordan Daley can improve across the course of the season. And it will be interesting to see as well how Olaf Leffer does today as well, because it's his first time out here in the championship. He had to miss the first round of the season, but he is back for round 2. And we know that he's very well integrated into the Nearly On Pace team, with the likes of Mikael Sundström and Wolf Matuszka as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how he gets along here in the 308 car. Practice has finished, and we're waiting for all the drivers to finish up their laps, and then we'll be moving on to a 10-minute qualifying session. 10 minutes out on track for the drivers to set the fastest lap they can to determine the grid. And, well, because we have a bit of time to, to ponder over it, I suppose, Nate. Who would you put down for qualifying on pole? I mean, are you going to go? Are you going to go easy choice and say Wolf Matuszka, or do you think someone else could have a shot at it today?
I never do things difficult or make things difficult for myself. The only thing I do difficult is apparently string a sentence together. That's impossible for me. No, I would definitely, yeah, it's got to be the easier choice, the obvious choice, Wolf Matuszka. And there's just something about that name that just rolls really nicely off the tongue. But yeah, obviously you said he won the last race. Unfortunately, I missed that one. I raced against him in GT4s at Alton Park, and I believe the closest car to him after his first stint of, I think it was 45 minutes, was 35 seconds behind. So yeah, there is some serious pace to come from that car. So yeah, easy choice, obvious choice, gotta be Wolf Matuszka.
And Wolf Matuszka, in fact, will be the first car out on track as qualifying is officially underway, 3 p.m. local time here at Imola. And, well, one of the very interesting things that I've noticed immediately as we come out into the qualifying session is it's very cloudy all of a sudden. It was nice and sunny on the Friday practice session, but now we've moved over to Saturday for qualifying, and the clouds have started to loom over. There is a chance of rain in the air. It's not very high at all. Kind of similar chance of rain that we had at the Nürburgring, but it does not seem like the rain will be coming here for qualifying, so we'll have to see if that happens during the race. What we did see at the Nürburgring, though, Nate, which was very interesting, is that the practice session was held not long after it had stopped raining, because when we opened the practice server, or the practice session for the race server, it was, it was a damp track. So, it was obvious that rain was in the air. Rain had come and gone before the practice session had started. So the rain in the air, the qualifying session with the clouds over top, gives us a bit of an idea of what it could be like towards the race, but we'll have to see. But Wolf Matuszka, for the Pink Performance team, coming down towards the final couple of corners now, and he will start the qualifying session. He will be the first driver to start a timed lap for today. So here we go then. Round the final corner we go, and up towards the start-finish straight, and we will jump on board with the number 25 for a flying lap around here at Imola. So here we go then, across the start-finish line we go, under the start light bridge and down towards the first corner, the Variante Tamburello chicane. Very, very fast chicane. In fact, all of the chicanes around here pretty quick, in fact. Chipping over the curb as well and maximising the exits on a lot of these corners, running right up towards the grass. And you can see right up towards the line as well, want to maximise the wide entry that you have into the second chicane, which is Variante Villeneuve. And then up towards the Tosa hairpin we go, turn 7, want to be nice and early turning into this corner, maximise the power down and wide on the exit as per usual. Going up towards turn 8, pretty much flat through here as you come up towards Piratella at the crest of the circuit. Turn in nice and early, avoid the anti-cut curbs if you can, run wide, don't invalidate your lap, and then make your way down towards Acqua Minerale. Quite a few drivers have said this has been the problem part of the circuit for them, with the lack of traction control and Wolf Matuszka squirming around his car as he comes into the entrance and out of Acqua Minerale, now towards Variante Alta, the third chicane on this circuit. Take as much curb as you dare here. The front engine cars definitely love this part of the track, the rear engine cars not so much. On the exit, do not extend the track and invalidate your lap, and now make your way down towards Ravazza, the two left-hand corners to end out the circuit. Brake nice and late down here, let gravity help the car down as quick as possible, and then turn around for the exit, ride all the way up to the gravel trap, don't touch the gravel though, and then floor it down towards the start-finish straight. And what looked like a pretty good lap for Wolf Matuszka at the start, it was a bit squirmy through Acqua Minerale. It will be into the 143s, but it will be immediately beaten by Ethan Scott, who goes 72 thousandths quicker, and Mikael Sundström just about 5.5 tenths down.
See, and like you said, it looked like a very good lap, but I did notice there was a lot of wrestling with the car when we were on board. A lot of wheel corrections coming out of some of the corners, as you mentioned. No traction control on these cars, so all of your finesse, all of the control there is balanced on your right foot. But the gap between first and second, I wouldn't want to don my conspiracy hat. Conspiracy? I don't think that's right. But I'd say we could put that down to the slipstream that Scott was given from Matuszka down, well, the back straight.
It's a good point, isn't it? Because the start-finish straight here at Imola is, well, I mean, to say it's long is an understatement, and it's, you know, a sequence of straights connected by kinks, but you are, you know, foot flat to the floor for a long time. And of course, the slipstream in these cup cars, with how good they are in a straight line, is probably worth a lot of time around this circuit. So it could be that Ethan Scott getting that extra slipstream off of Wolf Matuszka. Wolf Matuszka wouldn't have had that because he was the first car out there, and he immediately returned to the pit lane. So I wonder if Wolf Matuszka returned to the pit lane in an attempt to then, you know, maybe try and find some slipstream himself. But either way, he has returned to the pit lane and he has got back out on the track. There is Jordan Daley. He's in 15th place at the moment, just about 1.1 seconds out of provisional pole. Ethan Scott, by the way, coming back across the timing line and not improving on his last lap. In fact, it was much, much slower. So he definitely has some work to do. Here's Nico Kumpu. And he's in 18th place, 1.5 seconds off provisional pole right now. Bumped down to 19th place as we speak. Jordan Daley has returned to the pit lane. Here comes Kumpu, though, up towards the timing line, down into 21st. What can they do? Up to 6th, and within half a second now of Ethan Scott's time, and that is good. Here is Gegli Gaspar as well, who sends himself up into the top 5 with just under 4 minutes to go.
Yeah, so it's looking pretty close at the moment. I mean, you know, you say half a second, sounds like a lot when you maybe compare it to Formula 1 times, but in these cars, it's not that much. That's maybe getting a good exit out of 1 or 2 corners, and you could easily close down a lot of time with this. So I wait to see where the final order stands, and I can't believe we're already almost 7 minutes into the qualifying session, into 7 minutes of a 10-minute session. So, I mean, you know, drivers need to manage their time. Well, I wouldn't say well, they're all managing their times well, but you know, maybe be a little bit more precise with what they're doing, because before you know it, if you set, you know, an invalid lap, need to go back, change your tires, you really put pressure on yourself, because you may only get now, well, if you have to go back to the pits now, you probably only get 1 more lap in.
Yeah, it's about 2 minutes for an outlap around here at Imola, and that is one of the dangers you have with a 10-minute qualifying session. Is, you know, most of well, about 20% of your qualifying session is spent on an outlap, and that's an issue that they will have at Spa later this season as well, where you'll be looking at around 2.5 minutes for an outlap. So it's something that the drivers are fully aware of, and they know that the banker lap is very important, and it's something that they definitely have to take the most of. And well, Paulo Lima has gone to the top of the timing board, 75 thousandths of a second ahead of what Ethan Scott has managed to do so far. So we have a new provisional pole sitter with just over 2 minutes of the session to go. Mikael Sundström down in 13th place in unfamiliar territory, comes up to 4th, just about a 10th and a half off of provisional pole, just behind Wolf Matuszka. So very close now. Wolf Matuszka out on a lap at the moment. He is up slightly, but it's not going to be enough at this point in time for anything significant, as he's only up by a 10th of a second at this stage. It would only take him second right now, but we'll have to see what else Wolf can salvage out of the session. He should have enough time for 1 more lap once he completes the current flying lap he's on.
Yeah, so again, in a 10-minute session, Wolf Matuszka would only have set 3 laps. So yeah, it's crazy to think that, you know, you think 10 minutes to, you know, bat around the track with a lap times a minute 50 is plenty of time, but it soon runs away from you. And, you know, we're going to come into it. I reckon we're going to see now drivers pushing on their final laps, really wanting to make up these small margins, small gains to the cars ahead of them, and obviously they'll just push that extra bit more than they might normally, and I reckon we're going to see a couple of accidents, a couple of cars maybe running wide and validating their laps. So it'll be interesting to see who ends where. I really don't think it's over. I don't think we could really pin down and say one driver is absolutely going to finish in this position, as we see Markin move himself up to third. So yeah, it's all still to play for.
So the top four at this point in time spread by just under a tenth of a second as Gegely Gaspar goes up into second place. Here comes Wolf Patushka though, a tenth and a half off of provisional pole. He's going to come up towards the timing line. He's up on his time. What's it going to be? Wow, there we go. 1:42.852. Breaks into the 42 barrier and takes back provisional pole. He has enough time to do one more flying lap as qualifying expires, and all the drivers now start to finish their sessions. Bart Matcher, who has crossed the line, has gone up into 10th. That is as high as he will start in this race. Mikael Sundstrom, by the way, is up on his lap time as well, so keep an eye on what he is doing, because he could be one of the big contenders towards Wolf Matushka's provisional pole time at this stage. Gegely Gaspar is also slightly up on his lap time, but a lot of them have quite a bit of work to do if they're going to beat out Wolf Matushka for that pole position for the second race of the season.
Watching Wolf Matishka through the first sector there, that was a man absolutely possessed. I don't think I've ever seen a Porsche climb curbs like that, and for the driver to still be pointing in the right direction. Absolutely phenomenal stuff to watch. Be interesting to see if he can go even faster, just to oh no, he dropped it at Aqua Minerale, and so Wolf Matishka will not go any faster than he is gone now. Olaf Leffy goes up to 6th. So we are definitely seeing times improve. What can Jordan Daley do?
Gaspar, by the way, has come out of the final corner. He's up on his lap time as well, but it will only take him second. And with Mikael Sundstrom having backed out of his lap, he invalidated it. I believe that will be it. Jordan Daley has crossed the line. He will not improve any further than 10th. And for the second race running, it will be Wolf Matushka on the front row of the grid and on pole position. He will take the first two pole positions of the season by just over a quarter of a second to Gegely Gaspar this time around, and we'll have to see how that pans out into the race. But Wolf Matushka, second time running, back-to-back pole positions. He'll be looking to make it back-to-back wins here tonight. But of course, we have an hour of racing ahead of us, and, well, it's one thing to get pole, it's another thing to go out and get the win, isn't it, Nate?
Oh, yeah, pole position, you know, it's always fun to start on pole, but maybe Imola, not quite the track. There is a fairly long run down to turn 1. You could leave yourself open to maybe a couple of dive bombs down the inside, especially if you're trying to be cautious. You know, if you're someone who thinks about the opening lap maybe a little bit more methodically than someone else, and you creep into the first corner to avoid instance, not only do you leave yourself open to people just zooming up your inside or around the outside of you, you also leave yourself open to, you know, potentially being in either your own accident or caught up in somebody else's accident. So yeah, pole is good. You can scamper away, sometimes avoid that unless someone just completely misses their brakes and flies into the side of you. But also, you could be the driver who maybe causes the big accident. So ideally, I'd probably want to be 4th, or yeah, because you get a good slipstream from that, or 3rd. 3rd probably better for the run down to turn 1. But 1st and 2nd, I feel like they are going to have issues with cars shooting up alongside them into the first corner.
Well, before we go to the grid and get started with the second race of the season, we have the championship standings to run through, and it is Wolf Matushka, as you can see there, with the most amount of points after his win and pole position from the first round of the season. He sits on a very nice 69 points. Also with 69, but in their race number instead, is Andy Boardman. He got a good start to the championship as well, finishing runner-up, and Mikael Sundstrom 3rd. Nico Kumpu and Mehmed Malik rounded out the top 5, and it was Martin Lawrence that finished 6th. And he also picked up the fastest lap of the race out at Nürburgring. He would have had 2nd place, but unfortunately got a few errors with his mandatory pit stop, so he had to unfortunately settle for 6th place. Sam Smeets in 7th, also tied with 40 points on Martin Lawrence. So we've got Ethan Scott, John Aracer, and Vince Van Merveld. And Van Merveld not present tonight, so he's on 28 points. Looking further down, we have Andres Sarka in 11th place on 25 points, followed by Paulo Lima, who is qualified on the 2nd row of the grid for this race, so he's doing much better in qualifying for race 2 than he did in race 1. Martian Olajals in 13th and Jordan Daley in 14th as well. Daley qualified 10th this time around, so he's looking for an improvement on last week. Andreas Carlson in 15th, with Bart Matcher just behind him on 15 points. Klaus Neering, Miska Suominen, Carlos Kalatiad, and Nico Kuizma rounding out the top 20. It's good to see Miska Suominen and Carlos Kalatiad, two of the drivers that were automatically promoted from the silver split last season, doing fairly well for themselves in the pro class. We also have Matthew Kingston Lee, who was automatically promoted. He's in 21st place, followed by Victor Nordquist and Lubomir Zeman, Stefan Van Kampen, and Gegely Gaspar, who did not have a good race in the very first round of the season. Of course, he's on the front row for this race, so he's hoping to really kickstart his season today. Yusef Varga and Christian Lindgren round out the point scorers. Christian Rublar, Olaf Leffer, and Seba Teres, unfortunately, all on 0 points. Leffer is present here today, and so is Teres. I believe Chris Rublar is not present this evening, so he won't be scoring any points this evening. We have just under 2 minutes until the start of the second race of the season. It's 27 ambient. The sun is shining. There are clouds in the air, but not too many. It's 35 degrees track temperature. And the all-important question that everyone wants to know the answer to tonight, Nate Norbury, is who's going to win?
I believe the driver that crosses the line first will win the race. That is my
that's a
my
very
pro tip.
astute. That's a very astute observation.
That's I know. I mean, honestly, I should just start placing bets, and on the lottery, my numbers might come up. I mean, again, arguably, you'd have to go for Wolf Matuszka. Obviously, completely pulled the lap out the bag, 3 temps faster than his nearest competitor. Which, while we said 5 temps wasn't a lot to cover, 10 or 11 cars, 3 temps to cover 2 cars is a big gap. So, again, you'd have to argue it's Wolf Matuszka's race to lose, really, and it's everyone else's race to win. So, my money is on the Pink Performance Porsche. Oh my god, I completely forgot the name of the car then. There's too many P's.
Well, fortunately, Nate, we've only got one manufacturer on.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we'll get there eventually. But yeah, Wolf Matuszka has to be the favourite after the dominant performance he had out at the Nürburgring as well. Didn't get fastest lap of the race, so it will be interesting to see if he can correct that this time around, or if maybe that will go missing as well. And like you said, it is a long run down towards the first chicane. So, the likes of Paulo Lima and Ethan Scott starting on the 2nd row of the grid, they could benefit from not being on the very front row. And, well, of course, Gegely Gaspar, who did not have a good performance last week, will be definitely looking to put his car on the podium this week. And, of course, the drivers kind of they kind of have a bit of a tough stretch ahead of them with this season and the circuits that they'll be going to. Usually we've got a nice variety of relatively easy tracks to drive, and then a couple of challenging ones thrown in there as well. Imola in these cars is not easy. I mean, we've seen down towards Acqua Minerale how many cars have just been getting completely out of control. And on a full tank of fuel, I imagine that corner is going to be an absolute challenge on lap 1 for all of these drivers. And we go to Spa next week, but then round 4 and 5, we have Brands Hatch and Hungaroring back to back. And Nate, you and I don't race as much as some of the guys out here today, but if I could think of 2 tracks I wouldn't want back-to-back in a car with no traction control, it's probably got to be something like Brands Hatch and Hungaroring as one of the ultimate combos.
No, see, I feel like Brands Hatch with no traction, not that I'm brave enough to do it, is really good because it's a real test of driver skill, especially because of all the low speed corners. I say all the low speed corners, sort of sector 1 and halfway through sector 2. So yeah, I feel like Brands Hatch will lend itself for good racing in these cars. Hungaroring, yeah, no, that can just get in the bin. I would not want to. I would absolutely.
You heard it here first. Nate says Hungaroring can get in the bin.
Hungaroring in the bin. Don't get me wrong, I like the track. I really, really do. But in these cars, I feel like it would just be horrible. Like, extremely, extremely horrible. Mainly because of all the elevation changes. There's a lot of quite aggressive curbs there. And yeah, I can't imagine that being a lot of fun. But a track I am excited to see them at is Barcelona, because I like Barcelona.
Well, that makes two of us, and we can at least agree on that. And Barcelona will be the final round for the season on December 13th. Of course, the full calendar is Nürburgring, Imola, Spa, Brands Hatch, Hungaroring, and Barcelona. And of course, as mentioned earlier, this is the last Monday Championship of the year, the 2021 year, which is going to come to an end in, well, just about a month and a half's time. And saying that out loud is actually kind of intimidating, because I still haven't mentally recovered from last year passing. So I'm not too sure how we're all going to handle the new year. There's many things coming up for RCI in the new year, but we'll get onto those at a later date when it's more relevant. Back to the present. It is round 2 of Season 3 of the Porsche Cup here at RCI. We have Wolf Matuszka and Gegely Gaspar on the front row of the grid. 60 minutes of racing ahead of us. 1 mandatory pit stop with 1 litre of fuel minimum required by all the drivers here tonight. Live stewards as well, to make sure that everyone is behaving themselves. And we are just moments away from a 60-minute sprint to the end. Will it be Wolf Matuszka to take back-to-back wins? Will Gegely Gaspar steal it from him? Will it be someone else in the back of the crowd? And we're live here racing at Imola, and it's a good start from Wolf Matuszka, who manages to get across Gegely Gaspar immediately and will lead down into the first chicane. And Wolf Matuszka is clear in front as they all start to filter through, and it has looked pretty clean through the first chicane at this moment in time. No one facing backwards as we head down towards Villeneuve now, but Wolf Matuszka leading the way from Gegely Gaspar. And I believe just in the background there as well, have I seen Mikael Sundström just lose a couple of places? I think I have. I've seen Andy Boardman just get past Mikael Sundström on the start, and Bart Match has made up a place as well.
Yeah, so like you said, everyone got through the first corner quite, well, relatively clean. I think there may have been a couple of hip checks, a couple of, door handles may now be missing, but no one pointing the wrong way, as you mentioned. So that's good fortunes for everyone so far. Let's hope they can string the rest of the lap together, as Wolf Matuszka already pulling a little lead here. I'm definitely not fanboying over Wolf Matuszka at all in any way, shape or form, so you can get that out of your minds now. But yeah, so far so good, Ryan.
Yeah, Wolf Matuszka got the ideal start, the start that he needed, the start that he wanted. And well, for everyone else on the grid, even if it hasn't been the ideal start, I think the most important thing at this point in time is that everyone is still pointing the right direction and everyone is still grouped up together. The pit window has officially opened, by the way, just as we come towards the end of the very first lap of racing. So there we go then, the pit window is open. They're allowed to come in at this moment in time to serve their mandatory pit stop. They will have to serve it before that pit window closes in 56 minutes and 40 seconds. But I would be very surprised if we see anyone serving it right at the start. And in fact, we do actually have 2 drivers serving it at the start. The number 8 of Mamad Malek has come in, and Yusef Varga in the 221 has come in right at the start. And that tells me that they want to get out of traffic as early as possible and get that mandatory pit stop out of the way. Of course, the problem that this does leave you with, Nate, is that if there is a change of weather coming later on in the race, you're going to have to do an extra pit stop.
Yeah, like I said, it does leave you open to that, and I don't think the undercut is quite as powerful here as it is at some other tracks. Obviously, I get the logic, the theory behind it. It's get yourself into the pits, get yourself in clean air, and just run your race while everyone ahead of you makes their stops. And by the time they stop, you should have passed them, because obviously everyone ahead of you will be battling for position. Obviously, everyone's got compromised lines into corners because they're either A, trying not to run into the car ahead of them, or B, defending from the car behind them. as we see the 48 seems to have had a moment somewhere. But yeah, compromised lines, just slowing yourselves down by battling in traffic. Obviously, you're not going as quick as you could in clear air. So the two cars stopping early are hoping that in their clear air, they won't come up to any traffic and they can just lap, you know, a second, you know, or 8/10, whatever it be, faster than the cars ahead of them and slowly close the gap to the point that by the time they make the cars ahead of them stop, they can come out, you know, 6-7 seconds ahead of them and just have a comfortable lead.
Well, we'll have to see how the strategy does play out tonight. It will be a big question of asking, and of course we don't know how the weather will play out either. It is looking pretty sunny out here today, and well, in 30 minutes time it's going to continue to look pretty sunny as the weather forecast tells us right now. But here we go, down towards the first chicane. We have a move here. Is Andy Boardman going to have a look on Olaf Leffer? He's going to be on the outside for the first part of the chicane, turns into the inside but has to back out of it. And now here comes Mikael Sundstrom and Bart Matcher. They're having a look as well, but Victor Norquist wants to get on this as well. They're almost going 3 wide down towards the Villeneuve chicane, and Andy Boardman has somehow kept all of them behind, but Victor Norquist has jumped Mikael Sundstrom and Bart Matcher in the process, and it's getting all a bit tight as Jordan Daley's joining this group now.
Yeah, see, this is exactly what I was just talking about. Cars battling, slowing each other down. Obviously, was it Andy Boardman? So he went for the move and, you know, compromised himself on the exit of the first chicane, then held the 4 cars behind him up as well. So again, all this is doing is lending the early stoppers that opportunity to pass without the need to actually battle anyone on the track.
It's all getting very, very tight here as Nico Kumpu now putting pressure on Bart Matcher as we come up towards Variante Alta. Jordan Daley just in behind, having lost a position after trying to capitalise on a mistake. And you can see the car sliding on the exit of the Variante Alta chicane. Of course, no traction control, we've already mentioned, on these cars. You do have ABS, but these cars are a bit of a handle through some of the slower corners and out some corners in particular. Bit of a handful, and a lot of these drivers will be finding that out for the very first time. And here we have Jordan Daley, who has dropped from 10th down into 12th, so it's not been the greatest start from Jordan Daley. He's going to have to try and work his way back up the field if he wants to get some good points on the board tonight.
I think getting a bad start probably fires you up more than having this. As we see him move on the inside, it's going to be close. Oh, definitely nearly turned himself around then. That looked pretty touch and go for keeping that pointed in the right direction. But as we see now,
here we go.
He's just showing himself in the mirrors, trying to get inside the head of Nico Kumpu.
Stefan Van Kampen in the background as well, getting a bit tasty.
Getting interested in that, yeah.
It seems to be there seems to be a lot of filling the mirrors going on at the moment. As we see into Tosa, this is Teres at the moment, just trying. Oh, that was Kalatiud in the 30 car, just getting a bit out of shape on the exit of Tosa. Saved it well though. And are they going to keep the position from Klaus Neering at this point in time? They're going to have the inside line coming into Piratella. And just going to ride them up against the curb, but no evil doing there. And they are going to keep the place they have. They'll stay 15th. And this now has the likes of Lubomir Zeman interested as well. And it is true to your point, Nate, is, you know, you start battling with people around here, you do lose time. And it's very easy for what was a battle between 2 cars to all of a sudden become a battle between 6 or 7 cars.
Yeah, it's just purely backing yourself up into the rest of the pack, and sometimes it's you take the small loss for the big gain. As we see contact, and we see Victor going, well, almost all the way around, now all the way around, and there is the lack of traction control not saving him there. As we see more cars off. Oh my goodness, what happened there?
Off in the gravel, and Kalatiud was off as well. I'm not sure if that was the likes of Klaus Neering or Teres that had also gone off with the number 30 car. But plenty of action going on as we were watching Victor Norquist try and recover his car from some contact. There was definitely more action going on in the second part of the Ravatsa sequence. And all of a sudden, what looked like a very clean start, and what the stewards were probably hoping for a very nice start to the race, has all of a sudden got very, very scrappy in just a couple of corners' time. Meanwhile, Gegely Gaspar, whilst all the chaos is going on behind him, he's continuing onwards in second right now, but he's got Paulo Lima full company.
I don't want to point out the gap too much, for fear of coming across extremely biased.
We can forget about it for now. Just 3.5 seconds, by the way, for the folks at home that maybe can't see the stream, just listening on the audio. Wolf Matuszka has pulled out 3.5 seconds in the span of what is going to be 5 laps when they come around this time to hit the line. So Wolf Matuszka very much doing what he did at the Nürburgring, which is just pulling away at this point in time. And, well, who knows, maybe it'll come down to pit stops, maybe it'll come down to a mistake, but it's going to be a long way now for someone to beat the likes of Wolf Matuszka, as we just saw Klaus Nearing there in the 23 car coming out of Variante Alta and almost going for a spin, but they did manage to catch it. Very impressive catch indeed to not have that car go spinning around. I don't think that's the last time we're going to see a car do that on the exit of Variante Alta, Nate.
No, it's the slow speed exits that are catching obviously the drivers out. Very used to, or well, I say very used, maybe probably more practice than I, but I would personally be very used to obviously the traction control saving me from being a bit of a Neanderthal with my right foot and just planting the throttle. But on these cars, obviously, as we've mentioned time and time again, no traction control to save you from your own stupidity. If you plant that throttle pedal, you will send it backwards into the nearest tyre barrier.
Yeah, it's something that the drivers, well, I mean, after round 1 at the Nürburgring, they're going to be very familiar with, but here at Imola, it definitely seems to be quite a bit more challenging through some of the exits of the corners here. Tosa is a corner that they'll have been struggling with. Here's a race replay, by the way, and you can see Mikael Sundström just off the track there, and, ooh, was that contact between Savaceres and Carlos Calatiad? It might have been, and that might have been what caused the 889 to go off onto the gravel. So we'll have to see what the stewards make of that one later on, but the two of them getting very close to each other. And here we go, this is the race replay of the accident with Mikael Sundström and Victor Nordqvist. Just a bit of contact, it sends Victor Nordqvist around, and Mikael Sundström just going off there, maybe just trying to give the position back, but realising with so many cars around him that he had to go off track to try and give that position back, which is not the most conventional method to give back a place, but at least it does show the good intentions there from Mikael to give that place back at all costs.
Yeah, it's one of those difficult ones where you recognise you need to give the position back, but at the same time, you still have your own race to run, and it's sort of, it's weighing up the options in the heat of the moment. Is it better to wait and lose the positions now, waiting for the car to turn themselves around to get back and, pointing the right way? Or is it better for your race to just wait for the stewards to give you, or if they deem you guilty of the incident, to give you the penalty? As you see Nico Kumpu pulling out, going for the move and getting it done nice and clean. Is he going to leave any room? Oh, that was squirrely, wasn't it?
That was Paulo Lima, and actually that's a good point. Paulo Lima has dropped off. He was in 3rd place, now all the way down into 9th place as Nico Kumpu has got past him. So something has happened to the number 18 that I'm not quite sure if we caught. It might have happened whilst we were looking at the replays, but Paulo Lima has definitely dropped down the order. Here is Olaf Leffer going wide into Aqua Minerale. That's going to give Andy Boardman a good chance. As we come out of the exit now towards the Variante Alta chicane, the number 69 is going to be on the inside. Is he going to outbrake the 308 into the chicane? Yes, he will, and he's going to take the position as well. Nice move from Andy Boardman. Saw the mistake from the 308, capitalised on it, and made the move cleanly through the chicane as well. Very nicely done.
Also to note, from the 308 as well, very wise to obviously recognise that because of the shallow entry that Boardman had into the corner, to not just stick his nose into the rear end of Boardman's car. It would have been so easy to do. So obviously Boardman slowing down probably a little bit more than is normal for that corner, especially the way he hopped the curb. So, well played to both to the drivers for a clean overtake and for avoiding contact after the overtake had been made.
Yeah, very clever driving from both of them, and of course you want to avoid incidents as a driver because, the stewards are watching and they will be handing out penalties as they need to, and especially with the way the rule book has been updated lately, it's a lot more strict with the kind of penalties that people are getting for causing collisions and not giving back places. So It's going to be something that a lot of the drivers, I think, have actually read up on the regulations, which is rather surprising. We've seen a lot cleaner racing in the Friday Championship. It wasn't bad either last week in the first round of the Monday series. And oh, here we have Gegely Gaspars under a bit of pressure from Ethan Scott. Scott was on the inside line coming through Piratella. Is he going to swoop around the outside of Aqua Minerale? That's impressive in a GT3 car, never mind the Porsche Cup car, but Ethan Scott doing the work and making the moves, and the 34 is up into second.
I wonder if that was a little bit of a squeaky bum moment. Pretty nervous to not suddenly lose the rear end because, I mean, you'll know, Ryan, I'm sure you've driven the Porsche a couple of times. Once it's very forgiving in the terms it's very good with its aero, but when it lets go, you have pretty much a nanosecond to react to it, and if not, you are heading off to the scene of the accident. So very well done there from Scott to, well, I would imagine he would have had that right on the limit. I reckon any more, and it would have been backwards into the tyre barriers.
It was probably on the limit for Ethan Scott, but it was just on the right side of that line, and, well, moves himself up into second place in a very, very impressive fashion. And will now be hoping that he has some form of pace to close down Wolf Matuszka, although he's going to have to really put the power down at this point in the race. Paulo Lima, by the way, just watching him, he's recovered up into 8th. Getting past the likes of Klaus Nearing in the 23. We've had a few extra stoppers, by the way. Victor Nordquist, after his spin, has come into the pit lane, as has Mikael Sundström. And we've also seen the likes of Jordan Daley, Bart Matcher, and Andras Sarka come into the pit lane as well. So a few more drivers deciding to come into the pit lane and, you know, get out of traffic in the hopes that they can make up some time later in the race. And like I said, Nate, it's not a bad decision to do it, but you have to be confident that the weather isn't going to change, and you have to be confident that it's going to work for you and that you're not just going to pit and then come out and be in more traffic, because that is a very, very real concern for a lot of the drivers out here, is that, you know, so many people have the same plan that they all just end up compromising each other.
Yeah, I'm trying to see where our early stoppers are at the moment. I believe it was the number 8 of Malik and the 221 of Varga. I can't quite see. So just coming through.
Malik is behind Jordan Daley, and then Yusef Varga is a few seconds back from Malik.
Yeah, so unfortunately it doesn't really seem like they're making a dent on this sort of leading pack that have been fighting each other. So maybe the early stop wasn't the plan for this race. So yeah, it's a tough one. Like you said, if it rains, you know, unfortunately those people have shot themselves in the foot, as we see a yellow flag out for the 48. But yeah,
that was coming out of Aqua Minerale, the 40.
Yeah, the 48.
Yeah, just coming out of Aqua Minerale, just going for a bit of a moment. That was Miska Suominen.
But yeah, I mean, fingers crossed that, you know, the weather stays consistent and we can hopefully see where the cards fall for these drivers with their early stops. But yeah, I mean, obviously hindsight is 2020. We could sit here with all the camera angles we've got and all the timing data we've got and going, oh yeah, shouldn't have done that. But in the heat of the moment, you're doing what you believe is the right call. So
it's always more difficult as a driver in the car. Agreed. Yeah. Because you can't see the whole picture, and it's why a lot of the esports drivers typically have someone operating as like a race engineer that can kind of see. They can see all the timings. They can see, you know, the track map, in much more detail than the driver themselves, and that's why we see race engineers in, not just in the real world of motorsport, but also in sim racing as well, are very, very useful in races, because they can help you make the best decision at the right time. We're looking at Jordan Daley here, who is one of the drivers who has completed the mandatory pit stop, and Jordan Daley about 7 seconds off the likes of Bart Matcher, who is the highest up of the drivers that has done their mandatory pit stops, and Jordan Daley just at this point in time trying to see if he can break the toe.
I'd say he's oh no, we're on board with Scott now. I looked away for half a second and we switched cars. But yeah, so Scott, after, starting on the second row up onto the first row now. So, but still, Wolf Matishka, 10 laps, 8.5-second lead. That's just, I don't even think they need to push anymore. They could probably cruise home, take a couple of easy laps, and still have a comfortable buffer to, make sure they keep it on the island, keep it pointing the correct way. So, yeah, I almost, I like doing this every time I come into the comms booth. I make ridiculous claims and comparisons, but I feel like this is very Sebastian Vettel from his 4 dominant years with Red Bull. Sort of snatches pole, disappears off, and that's it. Don't see them for the rest of the race.
Well, someone that we will be seeing at some point throughout the rest of the race, I imagine, is Jordan Daley and Mehmet Malik, and well, they're putting on a bit of a show at the moment here around Imola, as Mehmet Malik has caught right up to the back of Jordan Daley and is now looking to get past. And Daley in the very nice Triple R Academy car, those lovely blue-pink colours, will be trying his best to defend from Mehmet Malik. Of course, Jordan Daley was caught up in that big 8-way battle that involved Mikael Sundstrom and Andy Boardman a while ago. But he's unfortunately just fallen off the back of that pack at this point. He's quite a fair way behind Bart Matcher at this point, so he's got a lot of work to do at this point, and that car's sliding through Aqua Minerale. I mean, if we were out here doing a drift competition or a stunt competition, I mean, these cars would be one of the perfect choices. But for Jordan Daley right now, that's not his intention out here. He wants to go as fast as possible, and the car is doing everything it can to try and, well, make it not go as fast as possible.
Yeah, it looked like he got a bit deep into the chicane there, but it may have just been the Constantine effect of, obviously, cars slowing down and bunching up. As he's going sideways again, definitely a lot of corrections happening in that car. I wonder if Daley may be feeling like he's under more pressure than he is, maybe feeling like Malik is a bit closer, maybe just trying to squeeze every extra bit of performance out of the car, but sliding the car is never going to be faster than, well, not sliding the car in pretty simple terms.
Yeah, Jordan Daley just trying his best at the moment, and it's sometimes one of those issues that you have when you're under pressure from someone and you start to, some of the exits of your corners get a bit sloppy, some of your entries and braking points get a bit sloppy as well. And it becomes ever more difficult to try and pull away from the car behind, and I wonder if that's something that Jordan Daley's kind of just experiencing at this point, and when the car fights against you as much as it appears to be doing at the moment with Jordan Daley, it can be very, very difficult to try and make some time between yourself and the setup with these cars as well, Nate, which is something we haven't really talked about. With a car with no traction control and a car that, has an incredible amount of straight line speed like the Porsche, and it's so sensitive into some of these corners and over the curbs, having a good setup for this car probably, gives you a few extra tenths of a second at the least, as we see Carlson. And that is the 889 of Terez as well, who tried to go for the move, overshot it, touched onto the gravel and the curb as well, and has given the place back. So Carlson will retake that 14th place, and Terez just, unfortunately, not making the move stick, but they'll have another go again in a couple of laps, I'm sure.
Oh, I closed my eyes for that. I thought they were going to go straight into the wall together.
Speaking of catching, by the way, we're talking of Mehmet Malik catching up. Paulo Lima has been caught and passed by the likes of Klaus Neering. He was ahead of him. And, Klaus Neering has managed to get past the likes of Paulo Lima at some point before then. And now he's trying to close down on Olaf Leffer, who's right in front of him. Andy Boardman, by the way, who is a bit further up the road. He's closing the gap to Oloyars at the moment for 4th place. And this is what Andy Boardman needs at this stage. Finished second in the first race of the season. Would love to get back on the podium. It's going to be a big ask, but if he can get past Oloyars and into 4th place, he will be 1 place closer to the podium positions that he'll need to continue a championship challenge towards Wolf Matuszka. But watching Klaus nearing at this point, and he is closing on Olaf Leffer in the 308. But it's not going to be close enough this time around for a move into the Tamburello chicane. Who is going to be probably close enough for a little bit of a look into the Tamburello chicane is Lubomir Zeman in the 121 on Stefan van Kampen. But not going to have any luck that time around, and now he's got Carlos Canati in for company.
I feel like this might get a little bit interesting, because I've got the feeling the 121, as they get a little bit sideways out of the corner there, is faster than Van Kampen, but then I also feel like the 30 is quicker than both of them, so there's it's definitely going to get a little bit interesting there. This will be one to watch with the multi-21 racing team.
Well, as Lubomir Zeman tries his best to get into the top 10 against Steven Van Kampen in the 35. Oh, Van Kampen just going a bit wide into Aqua Minerale. Oh, and Calati had almost lost the car as well on the exit. Did well to recover that one. And here comes Lubomir Zeman. Is he going to have a look into Variante Alta? Nope. He's going to continue along behind. And I think this is probably the more sensible thing, isn't it, Nate? If you can't get a run into Variante Alta, just stick in behind, use that slipstream, and see if you can get a good run down towards Ravazza. If you can't get a good run down towards Ravazza, stick in behind. Don't try and waste time with fake moves. Oh, Scalati goes a bit wide. And just wait for the immensely long front straight that you have here. Get a good exit and put the power down. And now, considering how close Lubomir Zeman is, I would not be surprised if this car is side by side towards the braking zone of the very first chicane. We're going to have a look here at Lubomir Zeman. He's actually not closing in as much as I thought he would. I wonder if the rear wing of that car isn't as low as I would have thought. And here goes Andy Boardman, by the way, through the Villeneuve chicane, and he is through on Ollie Arsen into fourth.
Boardman is a man on the move at the moment, isn't he? Every time we seem to cut back to him, we go away for a few laps, we come back, and he's passing someone else. So, yeah, that podium position now, just the next car ahead of him. So, Boardman on a mission to get back on the podium, it seems.
Yeah, Andy Boardman doing a very good job. He's had some of the worst luck imaginable in some of the Monday championships he's competed in so far. It looked like the Lamborghini Super Cup could be one of the championships where he, could have really made a name for himself, and then it all kind of went wrong halfway through the season. But well, he's here in the Porsche Cup Season 3, and he's trying to make the most of it right now, and he's doing a pretty good job at this point in time to work his way up into the podium positions. Looking a bit further down, this battle still goes on. Jordan Daley and Mohamed Malik, and Jordan Daley is still trying his best to defend from the number 8. Mohamed Malik has not given up. He's going to try and go around the outside of Tosa, and Jordan Daley is going to push him right to the edge of the circuit as far as he can, but I think Mohamed Malik's done it now. He's going to have a good exit coming out. Will Jordan Daley try and be late on the brakes into Piratella? He is going to try and be late on the brakes as well. The car starts to slide. Mohamed Malik goes off, but the move is complete. Malik is up ahead of Jordan Daley, and a crazy amount of laps of defending from Jordan Daley finally comes to an end. Mohamed Malik had to work immensely hard for that position, Nate.
Yeah, but very wise from Malik to almost recognize that Daley was going deep into the corner and just ran his car nice and wide to avoid any potential oversteer moments that could collectively take the pair of them out of the race. So it was hard fought, it was fairly fought, and it was great to watch. But the problem that I think Daley has is, I just think the problem when you overheat the surface of the tire by wheel spinning out of the corners, sliding out of the corners, it's just a compounding effect, because then you need to slow yourself down, take it easy for a couple of corners to just then bring the temperatures back under control. But the inner racer in you is always just trying to go as fast as possible. So then on the next corner, because you've got reduced grip again, you slide the tires, you overheat them, and it's just a compounding effect. And I feel like that's kind of the spiral that Daley's found himself in, and why eventually he almost had a big moment coming through the top of the hill there. I forget the corner name. Ryan, would you like to remind everyone?
Piratella.
Thank you very much.
And was, we'll go on a little bit of a track guide later on, maybe with Wolf Matushka, considering he has a 10.6 second lead. We'll go on a bit of a track tour later on, but Stefan van Kampen in 9th place, defending from Lubomir Zeman at this point, and quite surprised that Lubomir Zeman has not got past the 35 despite how close he is. I wonder if Stefan van Kampen is running a lower wing than what Lubomir Zeman has on his car. And that's just giving Stefan van Kampen the edge he needs on the straights to not allow the 1-2-1 to get past him.
Ah, right. I don't know if you spotted this, if I was just away enjoying the racing, but Klatiad has pulled off of that battle we were just watching and has pitted. So maybe trying to leapfrog them in the pit stops to get some fresh air, as we see the 699. Oh, some very aggressive defending going on there. Oh, it's aggressive, but it's fair. Little bit of a squeeze to the outside there, just holds him off. But now, compromised line, but it doesn't matter too much. It's a very quick chicane, so into the hairpin, and everything will be neutralized once again.
John Aracer making sure that he can use every inch of the track in his defending, and he's got every right to do so as well. And yeah, I hadn't noticed that Kalatiad had dropped off and gone into the pit lane. I had noticed that the likes of Paulo Lima had come into the pit lane, the number 18, and he's come out behind Bart Matcher as well. So Bart Matcher is still the highest placed cars of all the drivers that have finished their mandatory pit stop. So we'll have to see who was...
Kingston Lee getting a bit sideways there.
Yeah, Matthew Kingston Lee probably giving Bart Matcher a bit of a scare. But yeah, Matthew Kingston Lee unfortunately not having the best of moments coming out of Tosa. Here is Nico Kumpu in 6th place at this point. He's got Klaus Neering in behind him as well in the 23 car, closing him down for that 6th place position. And Nico Kumpu was another one of the drivers that was in the Lambo Super Cup last season in the Pro class, and is continuing on where they left off very well. And well, would you believe it, Nate? We're halfway into the race, and we've only just received the first penalty.
I did just spot that.
From the stewards. Mikael Sundström in the 899, 15-second penalty. And we've already seen this incident, but it is lap 4, turn 18, involving the 19 and the 899. 15-second time penalty for the 899 on a takeout with the 19. This is the incident between Salvaceres and Carlos Kalatiad, I believe. It says the 899 attempted to return the position, but 19 spun themselves on the grass whilst trying to rejoin. And obviously that meant that the position was not given back by Mikael Sundström. Here is the move, by the way. This is the incident. And Mikael just taps the side of the 19 car, and then that sends Victor Norquist onto the grass. Victor Norquist just struggled to get back onto the track as well with that lack of traction control on the grass. Tyres are just like ice. So Mikael Sundström has got a penalty for his troubles, unfortunately. And that penalty will put him behind Victor Norquist, who is not too far behind him at this point in time. So I suppose all will be returned to normal once that penalty has been applied. But it's unfortunate for Mikael Sundström because, you know, he is one of the drivers around here that, you know, he's a community moderator at RCI, but at the same time, you know, he's a very clean driver. He always admits when he's made a mistake, and, you know, he does try to do the right thing whenever he can, and unfortunately just couldn't really give the position back at this point in time and has got a penalty for his troubles. But you know what? He'll soldier on, and he'll make the most of the race as well. And the fact that we've only had one penalty so far out in this race, and we're over half the way in, I mean, I don't want to jinx it, Nate, and knock on wood, but maybe the new strict penalty system is working. Maybe more people have read the new regulations than we give them credit.
Yeah, I mean, nobody wants a penalty, you know, because I mean, let's be honest, it sucks. You know, nobody wants one because it's just this overhanging cloud, like poor old Sundström. I mean, looking back at the incident, I do almost feel like it is maybe a bit harsh on Sundström, seeing as I feel like the Victor came from a little bit of a ways back, but, you know, I'm not a steward, that's not my place to say. But yeah, now he'll have essentially this cloud hanging over his head going, well, gee, where have I finished at 15 seconds? So he'll be scrolling through the boards going, right, where is 15 seconds behind me? And as it stands, that's back of the grid at the moment?
Not quite. I think if we're looking 15 seconds back, you're probably looking down to...
Probably 23rd, 24th?
You're looking at Lindgren in 22nd at the moment. But having said that, keeping in mind, half the grid still owes a pit stop. So, you know, that could all change, and there could be quite a few drivers that end up behind Sundstrom that he won't drop behind. So, at the moment, I would look at about 22nd place probably for Mikael Sundstrom, or 21st, around that margin. Obviously, after the podium at Nürburgring, that would not be very good for his championship hopes, but you know, it's one of those situations. It happens. Everyone makes mistakes, you know, and the important thing is, you know, you live and you learn and you move on, and Mikael Sundstrom won't have any trouble doing that.
Yeah, but you'll always lament what could have been had you not had that penalty. You know, I'm sure, like you said, you know, some of the grid do owe us pit stops. That will definitely shuffle it around a little bit, but he'll be going, oh, I could have finished there. I could have finished there. And it does... I mean, maybe not these drivers because they're of a far superior caliber to, you know, myself. But I know for me personally, I don't tend to drive with the same sort of enthusiasm, knowing that I'm being penalised as soon as the race is finished.
Well, I think some drivers, once they've got a penalty, they sort of their brain almost switches into a different mode where they kind of get a feeling that they're under the watchful eye of the stewards now, and that, you know, you don't want to make another mistake because obviously then you're just going to get another penalty. So as we watch Mikael Sundstrom get really close to the back of Andres Sarka, you know, it doesn't seem to have concerned Mikael Sundstrom at any stage at the moment. He's still driving with as much pace as he can to try and work his way up the grid. But I do think that with some drivers there is a key element there of, once they have a penalty, they're kind of a bit more careful about how they drive because they're worried about getting another one because they've already had a trip to the steward's office once today and they don't want to make it double. So, you know, there is that element as well, I think, that probably does hang over some drivers more than others.
Yeah, I think I'd be inclined to agree with you there. You know, yeah, sometimes the penalty, like you said, is almost fuel to push them higher up the grid, but yeah, as you were saying that, I did think Sundstrom was about to have another incident, but luckily these two drivers giving each other enough space to get through the sequence of corners without contact.
So as Mikael Sundstrom continues his efforts to get past Andres Sarka, ooh, very late on the brakes, Mikael, and getting really, really close now onto the exit of Ravazza. Now, can he capitalise on the straight line speed that we've seen him have through some of the other corners? Here we go, he's catching, using the slipstream to his advantage, cuts to the right-hand side. This is going to be the outside line coming towards the Tamburello chicane, but he's going to be ahead into the braking zone. Is he going to brake later? Yes, he will, and Mikael Sundstrom gets the move done, and he's up into 17th.
That was a really nice move, that slipstream effect down the start-finish straight, showing us just how powerful it can be if you are within just a couple of tenths of the car ahead of you. So I think turn one is maybe going to be the place where, like you mentioned a bit earlier, if you can't pass them through the lap and you can get onto their gearbox, just wait for the final corner. Make sure you maximize your drive off the last corner to make sure you get as much straight line speed as you can, tuck in for the slipstream, and then just make the easy pass either left or right. Take your pick, and then make sure you spot your brakes at the first corner and get it turned in.
Well, Wolf Matuszka has not had the most difficult time out today. Oh, he just go a bit wide there and invalidates his lap. Probably picks up a track warning for his efforts as well. And won't want to pick up a few more of them, Wolf, or you could be paying an unrequested visit through the pit lane. But Wolf Matuszka doing a very, very good job at the moment. And whilst we do have a bit of time here, we could, when he comes out of Ravazza this time, we could hop on board, and we'll do a little bit of an onboard lap here with our leader around the Imola circuit. And coming down towards Ravazza now. on board, and you'll just be able to see there on the left-hand side behind the timing board some of the inputs that Mikael Sundstrom is putting in here, and you'll see how much that steering wheel is moving on the exit of the corners. But here we go then. We'll have a little bit of a flying lap around with 22 minutes to go. So here we are onto the Variante Baza straight. There is a chicane here for the motorcycle version of this circuit, but under the timing board we go, or the green light board as we like to call it as well, into the braking zone here. Want to brake nice and late into Variante Tamburello and ride the curves as much as you can. Look how much Wolf Matuszka takes on the curves here, onto the exit as well, run right up towards the gravel, but don't dip onto the grass. Nice and wide entry here, using the curve on the outside as well, riding straight across the curves, maximising the exit again. As you see, wide entry here into the Tosa hairpin, turn 7 for the circuit, onto the exit, maximising it as per usual. You do that around pretty much all the corners here at this circuit, under the Audi board, and then brake at the 50-metre board, turn the car in for Piratella. Don't run wide here or you will invalidate your lap and pick up a warning. And then make your way down towards Acqua Minerale. This is the corner everyone's struggling with here today, but Wolf Matuszka looking very, very calm through the corner. Ooh, a bit squirmy on the exit, but still good enough as we head towards Variante Alta, the third chicane on the circuit, and this is the one where you really have to eat the curves. The front engine cars love it, the rear engine cars not so much. And Wolf Matuszka avoids the anti-cut curbs on the exit as well, doesn't invalidate his lap, and comes down now towards Rivazza. A sequence of 2 left-hand corners to end out the circuit. Brake nice and late here, you've got gravity working against you when you're braking. Go nice and wide through the first part, and then nice and wide through the second part as well. And that is a lap of Imola on board with Wolf Matuszka around here at racing speed. And as he comes up towards the timing line, that lap time will be a 1:44.010, and that is about 7/10 slower than his best lap so far this race.
But it's still rapid though. Like
it's still
it's
incredible.
still
I mean,
rapid.
That time loss is due to the tyre wear, not more than anything, because these cars with that lack of traction control, you are going to be losing a lot of time through tyre wear, and that's actually something I haven't quite mentioned at all, Nate. Nobody seems to have taken tyres by the looks of it. Actually, I tell a lie. Sabaceres looks like he's taken tyres. It's a 1:27 pit stop compared to everyone else who is in the mid-50s to a minute. So Sabaceres has taken tyres by the looks of it, but everyone else just going for that splash and dash of fuel. And it is quite a long pit lane here at Imola as well, isn't it?
It's longer than you think, all things considered. I remember my first time coming through the pits here, I was like, because you have all the pit garages and it stops, and then there's like a good chunk of pit lane that is just exists for no other reason than for the sake that they could make it that long. So yeah, it does catch you out a little bit, especially with where it exits just on the racing line coming into turn 1. So yeah, I'm surprised and also not surprised that we've not seen any incidents. I think there's been a couple of cars that have been very sensible when they've been coming out of the pit lane. As we see a move here coming from Victor Nordqvist, can he make it around the outside? It's going to be close. Can he be late on the brakes? Not quite late enough. He's not going to stick it out around the outside. But now it looks like he just got a little bit squirrely. Yeah.
Oh, and that's Saka off. And just Saka's gone off. So I wonder if that's why Victor Nordqvist seemed to have slowed down and he took a very unconventional line, because Andras Saka has gone off the track.
Perhaps he saw it coming and just avoided the incident.
I say we couldn't see it from our camera perspective. This is the replay here. We'll see Andras Saka. So he saw. Yep, that's what he saw. So that's obviously why Victor Nordqvist had backed off. Andras Saka just clipped the curb on the exit with the rear tyre, and that unstabilised the car, and he just couldn't catch it again. Waits to rejoin safely, very sensibly. And well done there by Andras Saka, but that will not be what he needed at this point in the race.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, especially with the majority of the race done now, down to the last 17.5 minutes, and to have an accident there, it's gut-wrenching, because now you're sort of in a predicament where the field is spread out enough that pretty much wherever you pull yourself back onto the track is probably where you're going to finish.
So Paulo Lima, who has now got Mohamed Malik for company. We saw Mohamed Malik putting a lot of pressure on Jordan Daley earlier on. And he has since left Jordan Daley behind, 5.3 seconds between the two of them now. And Paulo Lima has got Mohamed Malik for company at this stage. And here is Andreas Karlsson and Victor Nordqvist, both Swedes, going head-to-head here. And going down towards the first corner as well. One on the outside, one on the inside. And who is it going to be that comes out on top? And it looks like it is Victor Nordqvist that is going to come out on top and get the move done. In fact, no, he was already ahead by the timing line, in fact, just by about 15 thousandths. So was ahead and had the ideal line and manages to keep it. But very well done from Victor Nordqvist. And makes up a couple of positions in the space of 2 laps.
I mean, that's pretty good going. You know, it's just, again, it can just be a waiting game, can't it? You don't always need to push 100%. Sometimes just hang back and, you know, positions will come to you. Obviously, that's not always the way it works, but in this case, it's worked pretty well for him.
Something that has also worked out well so far is Bart Matcher's strategy. Came in, the 404, and, well, they're still the highest place of all the drivers that have done their pit stops. Steven van Kampen is in the pit lane, and he will be serving his pit stop at this stage, and I believe Bart Matcher is going to fly past him whilst he is in the pit lane. You can see the 35 stationary, and now he's moving again, and yep, Bart Matcher is well clear ahead of the 35, and that moves him up into 11th place. And I mean, thinking about it here with Bart Matcher, looking at all the cars further up ahead, you know, the cars that still have to do a pit stop, we've got John Arasa, who is probably the closest one to him. He's definitely going to come out ahead of John Arasa. He's probably going to come out ahead of Lubomir Zeman. And I don't know, it might be close with Olaf Leffer as well, but Bart Matcher could find himself well inside the top 10 once these pit stops, you know, peter out. And he does call himself Connection Lost Racing Strategist, so if there's anyone in this field today who's going to get their strategy right, it'll probably be Bart Matcher.
I'm just trying to think, how long is a pit stop? What was like sort of the average time for pit stops that we've got there, Ryan?
We're looking at about 53 seconds. If you're looking for an average, it's 52 to 53 for average, 51 seconds if you're particularly quick and dead on your marks for the pit stop. And if you're a bit scruffy, probably about 56 seconds. So anywhere between 51 and 56. So, I mean, it's quite a long pit lane.
Yeah, so I'm just looking. It's showing on here, as we see, not quite a move. Maybe just getting big in the mirrors, trying to play the psychological card. But it definitely looks like that Mikael Sundstrom has got a good run on Van Kampen there. Can he hang it round the outside?
Oh, Van Kampen taking the wide line on the exit of the chicane, and Mikael Sundstrom curb hopping as well. They are going to be side by side coming down towards Ravazza though, and is Stefan Van Kampen going to try and keep this one and take it back? He will. I wonder if Sundstrom maybe just gave that.
He's gone wide. He's gone wide.
He's into the gravel and he's just gone wide. Fortunately, didn't lose the card though, did very, very well. I was about to say, I wonder if Mikael gave that place back because he technically cut the corner and maybe thought that he might have to give that back before the stewards intervene. But either way, Stefan Van Kampen did get the place back and then unfortunately lost it late onto the brakes into Ravazza and just dipped into the gravel, and now has got Carlos Colatin in for company.
But anyway, so 50 seconds for a pit stop. I'm just looking at that. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Bart Matcher's about 20 seconds behind the car ahead of him. So potentially in the top 10, just trying to pull some mental arithmetics, which I can't quite do. So
he is 18.3 according to my timing sheet. So around about 20 seconds is, it's not too far off.
So that's in there, and then Eraser is only 13 seconds behind Zeman, which again probably could make that in the stop.
I think Bart Matcher could be on for a top 5. I think top 5 is possible with his strategy. but we'll have to see how it plays out. But either way, he's going to end up in the top 10. That much is without doubt. So Bartmatcher doing very, very well on his strategy at the moment. The pit window, by the way, is only 10.5 minutes left. You can see it at the top of your screen. And with 12 minutes of the race remaining, there's not too much time left for all of these drivers in the top 10 to get their pit stops done.
Trying to see, so the top 10 haven't stopped yet. So they, yeah, definitely. Oh, as we see, was that
Calatayud.
Yes, thank you. I butchered that. Apologies.
Carlos Calatayud here into Ravazza.
Oh, that was a big moment. It did very well to hold that.
Did it twice as well. As I think we saw Wolf Matuszka come into the pit lane. Yes, we did. He just pulled off in the replay. And the race leader comes into the pit lane. Get their mandatory pit stop done and out of the way.
So Victor Nordqvist on a charge now.
I was going to say, that's Victor Nordqvist just getting past Stefan van Kampen and making up another place. And here's Carlos Calatayud again. Trying to go on the outside of Tosa, not quite able to do so. Stefan van Kampen's going to make it difficult for him. But yeah, Victor Nordqvist on a charge at the moment, doing very, very well to make up as much time as possible. He is up into 16th place once they cross the next sector timing board. So doing well and keeping within that 15-second range of Mikael Sundström's penalties. 2.5 seconds behind at this point. And of course, that means that it's not going to be too far behind when Mikael does cross the line. Just needs to stay within 15 seconds, which, I mean, staying within 15 seconds of Mikael Sundström is easier said than done, but I'm pretty sure Victor Nordqvist has the pace to do it.
Be a bit ironic, wouldn't
it? This is interesting. Something I've just noticed. Wolf Matuszka has come out in traffic. He's got Lubomir Zeman in front of him. He hasn't pitted, by the way. Does need to pit, but of course this is racing for position, so he doesn't have to move over for Wolf Matuszka. And he can make Wolf work for this one if he needs to. And this could kind of play against Wolf a bit here. Had a very big lead, of course, to Ethan Scott in second place, who is now provisional leader. But for Wolf Matuszka, if he can't find a way past Lubomir Zeman fairly quickly, and if Lubomir Zeman wants to try and run this pit window right towards the end of its limit, this could work against the likes of Wolf Matuszka slightly.
Everyone from 7th up is on the phone to Zeman now going, I will pay you large sums of money to just keep your car big and in the way and slow Wolf Matuszka down. But, I mean, yes, I mean, I say I have made a clear point of constantly pointing out how quick Wolf Matuszka's been, but it doesn't seem like across that lap he particularly closed in as rapidly as I expected him to. So, like you said, he may actually see the lead he had just ever so slightly start to erode here.
Well, Wolf Matuszka will continue to try and make his way past Lubomir Zeman as we watch Carlos Calatayud now just under a bit of pressure. Oh, Gegely Gaspar, I've just noticed, has received a stop and go 30 for speeding in pit lane.
Oh.
And Gegely was in 3rd place, and that is his podium gone and down the drain. He's come out in 10th place, but once he serves that stop-go 30, he's going to be a lot lower than 10th. Oh, and that is such a shame for Gegely Gaspar. On course for a podium, didn't have a great race at the Nürburgring. But now it's all starting to go pear-shaped, and unfortunately for Gegely Gaspar, that's going to be a long, long trundle down pit lane that he didn't need to have today. But Bartmatcher's going to be looking at that and saying, yes, another freebie.
Yeah, that's massively disappointing. I mean, you said he didn't have the best of results at Nürburgring, and this is just another, slap in the face, unfortunately. As we see again, Wolf Matuszka close, but I don't know, not quite the inroads we saw when he was out front. But then I suppose it's the clear air versus being in traffic. However, is the slipstream going to work here doesn't look like it's as powerful as we've seen it previously, Ryan. It's like he's slowly gaining, but maybe Wolf Matushka running a lot of aero on that car, giving him the flash, trying to psych him out. Is he going to send one down the inside? No, not quite.
Well, you make a good point about the setup, Nate. If Wolf Matushka has built his car around leading from the front and not having to overtake anyone, he is going to have less, he's going to have more wing, on the car to make it easier around the rest of the circuit. So if that is the case, then yes, it does make sense as, Wolf Matushka goes up the inside that time, and well, Lubomir Zeman didn't defend too much that time around. He saw Wolf Matushka coming through on the inside and thought, well, probably not going to defend that one. So Wolf has made his way past and will continue on his way. Probably hasn't lost too much time in the grand scheme of things, but it will definitely be a slight inconvenience to what has been a very, very good race from Wolf Matushka so far.
Yeah, but even still, even with that lap or two being stuck behind Zeman there, I don't think it will be enough. I mean, it was a pretty substantial gap he had when he came into the pits.
Oh, it won't make a difference to the race, but I think it is a situation that Wolf would have rather not been in. He did come out right behind Lubomir Zeman, so he probably would have thought maybe if I'd stayed out an extra lap or two, probably could have come out ahead of him, avoided that situation entirely. Oh, that's Carlos Galatiad off. And Carlos Galatiad, who was battling with, was it Andreas Carlsen in the 134, who has now obviously gone through in the Sim Brothers Porsche. Carlos Galatiad's car has been all over the place today. I mean,
you know what? I was just thinking that.
We have seen his car get very out of shape out of a lot of corners, and it would not surprise me if his car has worked against him again here today, and unfortunately it's just sent him off into the gravel. He has not had an easy time of it, but the Spaniard definitely doing the best that he can. He's also a driver that has been promoted from the silver class to the pro class from last season, and he's adapting nicely to the pro class, and probably enjoying himself up here as well. This is Yusef Varga, by the way, who's one of the first drivers to come into the pit lane. He pitted the same lap as Mohamed Malik did, which was the very first lap. And, well, Mohamed Malik's all the way up in 11th. Yusef Varga is down in 21st. So that strategy has worked out really well for one driver, and not well for another, as the 2-2-1 gets all out of shape on the exit of Variante Alta and does keep it going, as the replay camera is going to have a bit of a
superb replay
cameraman struggling to find the guy. It's like when you see in the Formula 1 replays where the cameraman's not quite looking where he should be.
Oh no, it's the Lance Stroll animation from Baku. that's what that was.
But here is Ethan Scott, by the way, the provisional leader, who has come into the pit lane to serve his pit stop. So has Andy Boardman and Niku Kumpu, by the way. Also, Lubomir Zeman has decided to come into the pit lane. So, well, unfortunately there for the likes of Yusef Varga, his race has not really got any better. But he'll carry on as Klaus Nearing inherits the lead of the race. Looking down now through the positions, here is Ethan Scott, by the way, and yep, there is Bart Matcher well up the road from Ethan Scott. And,
did you mean Wolf Matushka?
Sorry, yeah, Wolf Matushka, sorry, all the way up the road from Ethan Scott.
I had to look at the timing board, then I was like, hang on a minute, what's happened here?
It's been a long day, Nate, alright? But here is Bart Matcher, I can get that name right. And he's going to come out at the moment, and he's actually doing pretty well. Andy Boardman has come out behind Ethan Scott. So Andy Boardman looks to have jumped Olejars for the... Oh, no, he had already passed Olejars, hadn't he? He's jumped Gegli Gaspar because of the stop go 30 that Gegli Gaspar had picked up. So that means that Bart Matcher is up into 5th place. I did say top 5. And Bart Matcher has truly delivered. He's into the top 5 with 2.5 minutes to go.
Yeah, I'd say once we have our final pit stop, I would probably place a small bet, a small loan of $1 million
Small then.
A small bet of $1 million on the grid sort of ending the way it is. It's been, well, the middle of the race was quite eventful, wasn't it? And obviously we still have 2 minutes left. Anything could happen.
It can definitely all happen, and Klaus Nerig is into the pit lane, by the way, as Wolf Matuszka re-inherits the lead of the race. Klaus Nerig now, we'll have to see where they come out. They should come out behind the likes of Andy Boardman and Bart Matcher, at least I believe so. Ethan Scott has just gone past them in the pit lane. We're looking at Mohamed Malik at this point, as I see Andy Boardman's coming close up towards the end of the pit lane. He's going to go past Klaus Nerig, and Bart Matcher looks like he's going to be past the 23 as well. The 23 hits the exit line. Bart Matcher is coming now. He's coming. Is he going to get him on the into turn 1? He's going to be late on the brakes. He's going to have the inside line, and he is going to take him into the first corner. And Bart Matcher, through inches, will take 4th place, coming on to what will be one of the last couple of laps of the race. And just about managed to take that 4th place, but it's not over yet, folks, and Klaus Nerig might want that place back.
Yeah, that was close, like you said, mere inches between the two of them. As we see, Bart Matcher getting a little bit squirrely on the exit there. Can he now make his Porsche the widest on the track? I don't think Neering is going to try anything too dangerous. It wouldn't be worth it with this little amount of time left on the table. But yeah,
well, it depends how much he values that 4th place.
Yeah, but he'll only get 4th if he finishes in 4th. If he takes himself out and turns them both round, and they drop down to 10th, well, you know, I suppose it's that if I can't have it, you can't either.
Well, we'll have to see. Wolf Matuszka has started the final lap of the race, by the way, so that means that Bart Matcher is going to have to defend for a single lap from Klaus Neering. We're looking back at Mikael Sundstrom here, who has now got Jordan Daley for company. And Jordan Daley will be jumping up ahead of Mikael Sundstrom when that penalty is dished out post-race. It looks like Mikael, who is 12th right now, will probably be finishing around the 17th-18th mark, which will not be ideal for Mikael Sundstrom, but it's going to be the best he can salvage today with that penalty and what has been a pretty difficult race for him. But it's not been a difficult race for this man right here. He's done exactly what he needed to do. 20.3 second lead into the final lap of the race, and it's been an absolutely incredible performance from Wolf Matuszka yet again. And
they swap places.
Oh, Paulo Lima and Mohamed Malik. They're going at it here on the last lap, and Paulo Lima is in front of Mohamed Malik, but is that going to stay the same way for very long? We come on the exit of Villeneuve now and down towards Tosa. Mohamed Malik, there's contact! There's contact between them, but Paulo Lima's not going to give it up easily. There's contact again! Oh, the stewards aren't going to be happy about this. Now, is he going to do the exact same thing that Jordan Daley did not long ago? No, he's going to tuck in before Piratella. But there's going to be some questions asked from the stewards about were those contacts necessary, and did Mohamed Malik complete the overtake as a result of those contacts?
Oh, is this car's just slowing down so they don't have to do an extra lap?
This is Wolf Matuszka winning the race, by the way, and everyone's slowing down to end the race early for themselves, trying to not do an additional lap. Mohamed Malik, by the way, in front of Paulo Lima. Paulo Lima's not going to give this one up, though. This is the very final lap. He's going to try and take this back into Ravazza. Final 2 corners. What does the 18 have on the number 8? Is he going to try a switchback? No, it gets covered off by Mohamed Malik. But I get the feeling there's going to be a post-race investigation into those incidents. Bart Matcher will get 4th, by the way. He will hold off Klaus Neering as they cross over the line. Ethan Scott and Boardman round out the podium. Malik will finish ahead of Lima provisionally. Kumpu to round out the top 10. And a slight bit of controversy to end the second race of the season, Nate.
I think if I was Malik there, I probably would have just rolled off the throttle and let him come back through. I can't imagine the stewards will take a good view to the 2 lots of contact. Although I suppose you could argue the first one was on Lima, and the second one was on Mohamed Malik. But oh yeah, that's
It depends which contact led to the overtake, I suppose, which is the more important question. If it did lead to an overtake.
Yeah, it's we'll have to wait and see. But as we follow along for the cooldown lap with Wolf and Matushka, a dominant victory there. But I have to say, Ryan, my driver of the day has got to be Andy Boardman.
Well, Andy Boardman or Bart Matcher for me personally. And Andy Boardman got onto the podium, did exactly what he needed to do to keep up the form that he had from the Nürburgring. But Bart Matcher, though, I mean, the man pulled off a great strategy. If we look back to where they started, Andy Boardman started 9th, finished 3rd, and Bart Matcher started 11th and finished 4th. So, I mean, both of them have had incredible drives out here today. So, yeah, it's a toss-up, I guess. It could be Andy Boardman or Bart Matcher, whoever is your pick of the day. It's down to you folks at home, I guess, who you think is driver of the day. There were definitely some other good drives out there that we probably haven't had the chance to mention. Just looking down where a few of the drivers finished. Quite a few drivers finishing lower than they started. Not ideal results for some of these drivers, but that is the second race of the season down. And I have just been told, by the way, the stewards have forwarded the decision to me. Incident on lap 35-9 involving cars 8 and 18. Racing incident, minor contact. So there you go. No post-race penalty for Mohamed Malik. He will keep his 7th place. And, well, with that said, that is the end of the racing for this evening. Big thank you to everyone who has tuned in this evening to watch us. We always love it when everyone likes to spend their evening with us here. We'll have more racing coming on Thursday with the GT4 Team Championship. I believe they're going to be at Spa for round 3. And, of course, on Friday, the Mainline Championship returns as well with round 3 at Brands Hatch. There's a bit of rain in the air as well from what I can hear. And then for the Night Owl Championship round 2 at Bathurst on the 20th of November as well. So 3 races over Thursday, Friday and Saturday to, sink your teeth into if you like watching some racing. Of course, you can hit the subscribe button and the like button if you do like it around here. Hit the notification bell as well if you want to get notified next time an RCI stream goes live. Big thank you to our partners, Race Department, AK Informatica, Driver 61, Fanatec and Sim Racing GP. If you want to host some servers of your own, check out AK Informatica. They we host our servers on their devices. And, of course, Driver 61, if you want to drive like Wolf Matushka and win races like that, but on a dominant performance, access to the Sim Racing Academy costs $10. You can save 25% off with our discount code in the description. Fanatec, you can use our affiliate link if you want to support RCI at no extra cost whilst buying yourself some sim racing gear. And, of course, Race Department and Sim Racing GP if you want to start a community of your own just for a few friends, or maybe you want to go big time in the future as well and host races to hundreds of people on the platform of your choice. Check out Sim Racing GP. It's probably the best way to start. But as we get a good look at the championship leader and double race winner to start the season, that is us done for the evening. We will be back in a week's time for Spa at round 3 to continue the season. It will mark the halfway point of the championship once the day is done. But most importantly, from myself, from Jake Boswell behind the cameras, and Nate Norbury, who's joined me in the commentary box this evening, thank you very much for watching. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and we look forward to seeing you on Thursday.